Namaste, yogis. My name is Alana Kaivalya. I'm the author of Myths of the Asanas, as well as the founder of the Kaivalya Yoga Method. Being a yoga teacher is hard work, and nobody knew that more than Vashista. Vashista was a great sage who was saddled with the task of teaching King Ram about his own inner divinity. This was such a challenging task because King Ram is actually an avatar, meaning he is basically God packaged in a body come down to earth to help us right the wrongs of the world. But being packaged in a human body means inherently that we forget our own inner divinity. So as a young boy, Ram had to learn to remember who he really was and what his task was for his time on earth. At some point as he was growing up, because he was so divine on the inside, he developed dispassion about the world and became a little apathetic about all the things happening around him. He was no longer concerned with worldly stuff. His father was concerned about this, and so he found the greatest yoga teacher that the world had known, Yoga Vashista. And Vashista came to the king's court and began to teach Ram, very similar to the way that Merlin taught young King Arthur to be a great and wonderful king. Eventually, Ram remembered his own inner divinity and became the Ram that we know of from the great story, the epic story called the Ramayana. And of course, that's where we find our favorite Hanuman and his girlfriend Sita. But someone had to teach him. Even Ram, even God needed a teacher to remember who he was, to light that spark. Teachers are incredibly important, and none more important than in the path of yoga. It's the most sacred relationship that we have in yoga, is the relationship between teacher and student. And we honor this relationship in this tradition with this pose, Vashistasana, side plank pose. I've found in my studies of yoga asana and mythology that it tends to be the most challenging postures that are given the names of the sages, probably because these sages or these old teachers had the hardest tasks. So let's begin in downward facing dog, shall we? Come on to hands and knees, tuck the toes, and then extend the legs into a downward facing dog. Let's warm up the shoulders a little bit. Inhale, come forward to a regular plank pose, nice flat body. Exhale, press back. Inhale forward to a plank pose. Exhale, press back. Inhale forward to plank. Keep reaching through the heels, and this time transition onto your left hand and the outside of your left foot. Try to keep the feet stacked one on top of another. If this is challenging, you can modify by bringing the left knee down underneath you. Raising the right arm up. To keep the original shape, stack the feet, lift the hips toward the ceiling. This will help to engage and strengthen the core muscles. Raise the right arm up and gaze to the right hand. Take a few breaths here. Come down to plank and then back to downward facing dog. Let's do the other side. Come forward to plank pose. Transition onto the right hand, the outside of the right foot. Extend the left arm up. Gaze to the left hand. Keep the feet stacked and try to keep the Tadasana shape or the mountain pose shape in the body as you hold this pose. Inhale, bring both hands down. Transition to downward facing dog for a moment. Come on to hands and knees, and then relax. Vashistasana is a very energizing posture. It's great to place at the beginning of your yoga class or the beginning of a practice to build heat and strength, because tapas, or inner heat, is what will help us to burn off all of the impurities that keep us from remembering our own inner divinity. I hope that you enjoy your next Vashistasana, and in the meantime, namaste.